This is what college football looks like, and it's the same everywhere. Good times eating, drinking, and we all sort of pretend like we know what the hell's gonna happen. So even though I'm in New York and not on campus, all season long, I'm eating, drinking, and figuring out what the hell's gonna happen in the games of the week. This is Easy Call. It's week 5, and even though there's not a team in the actual hill country worth talking about, doesn't mean we can't eat fried chicken. Let's go. Oh yeah, this is the Mama L's. Oh yeah, this is the classic. All right. Headliner of the week in the SEC, LSU at Georgia. Georgia giving 3 points. Huge game. Keys for LSU. Continued development of Zach Mettenberger. It's looked good every game. It's going to be a nice, loud Georgia audience for him. Audience, yeah, whatever. Number 2, the running back position. Alfred Blue and Terrence Mee are good, but Jeremy Hill, great. He's like the Kool-Aid man busting through walls. It's going to be ridiculous. And number 3, that LSU secondary, a little bit vulnerable last week against Auburn. Nick Marshall looked good. Aaron Murray's a lot better than Nick Marshall. They're going to need to be able to keep those Georgia receivers and Arthur Lynch in front of them. Keys for Georgia. They've got a running back stable of their own. They're going to have to force LSU to get more guys in the box. Keith Marshall, a little dinged up. Todd Gurley, great. Number 2, the youth of Georgia. They haven't played these huge SEC games, these big night games week after week. Still young, still inexperienced. How they do against LSU. And finally, Georgia's front is going to need to be able to not just make arm tackles. They're going to need to be fundamentally sound against that stable of running backs. I like LSU a little bit more here. There's just more to like on both sides of the ball. Ego Ferguson scares me because he's a huge man. I'm going to go LSU 23-17 on the road, between the hedges. Now I'm going to get between these two types of fried chicken. We're going to go Mama L's first. Little bits of cracker sort of fried right into there. Looks super crunchy with that crackering. But here's the big thing with the classic. You can see the orange seasoning. Yeah, you can. It's like a barbecue potato chip seasoned fried chicken. Those are two things that should always be together. I might go classic because of that seasoning. Holy hell. Game number 2, this one in the Midwest, another headliner, under the lights, Wisconsin going on the road against Ohio State. Ohio State 7.5-point favorites. Keys for Wisconsin, getting those running backs as fast a duo as Wisconsin's had in the backfield in space, and Gordon and White. Number 2, coaching. This is a young team that has not played in a huge Big Ten game on this level at the Horseshoe. How are they going to do on the road? And finally, how is that defense going to react to Ohio State's combination of quarterbacks? Very athletic, very smart, very efficient. Very curious about that new Wisconsin look. For Ohio State, they're also young on defense. How will they react to those two running backs, Gordon and White, They're really good. Number 2, what is the depth going to look like at quarterback? Assuming Braxton Miller plays, does Kenny Guyton play? How does that affect the game plan? And number 3, still a pretty young team for Ohio State on defense. They have experience, but this is Wisconsin. They're going to get punched in the mouth for the first time in the Big Ten this week. How's that going to work? I'm going to take the points here with Wisconsin. I think they lose close. 31-28, we'll say. I need a chicken sandwich is what I need. Give me that chicken sandwich. Wow. Chickwich. Got some little honey mustard. Got a little bit of that. Just coming together. Nice marriage of flavor. If this were a test, Hill Country, it's the valedictorian of chicken sandwiches. Boom, barbecue. Boom, honey mustard. Boom, me being happy. Yeah, I annihilated this bad boy. All right, next game, the other big SEC matchup of the week. Ole Miss traveling to Tuscaloosa, Alabama giving 17 points. Gonna be a fun one. Keys for Ole Miss. That defensive front needs to be able to play well. The offensive line for Alabama, down year. There's talent on that line. They're going to need to be able to get a push. Number 2, they're going to need to get lucky. That means bounces. That means field position advantages. That means screw-ups. That means weird things happening. That's how you beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa if you're not as talented. And number 3, quarterback play. Bo Wallace is going to have to be mistake-free, extend drives, take advantage of a defensive front. Ooh, yeah. You got some fried cheesy mash. Bo Wallace is going to need to be perfect, like these fries appear to look. I'm going to dip in both. Oh yeah, very seasoned very nicely. All right, Alabama, Keys, the offensive line needs to be able to play better. That Tide team is a much better team when Fowler and Yeldon are controlling the game. Number 2, they're going to need to get good cornerback play. That A&M game opened up the world to the fact that Alabama can't cover deep against top receivers like Ole Miss has. And number 3, Alabama needs to be good on third downs. They're 100th in the country, 1-0-0 in converting those third downs and extending drives. They need to do better against an Ole Miss defense that's pretty good. Spread is 17. I'm going to take those points. I think there's going to be points in this game. I'm going to say 34-23 Tide. Probably even not that close, but backdoor, I like Ole Miss. Not as much. as I like these fried, cheesy mashed potatoes. Anybody can do mashed potatoes. You're crushing up potatoes. Can you do it with cheese? Can you do it with bits of French fries? It's like a double potato explosion. Here it is, fry sexual. I'm standing by that, actually. Look at this, the stretch factor, strong. Crunch factor, stronger. Moving right along, on the West Coast, Washington hosting Arizona, giving 7 points in a loud Husky Stadium. Keys for Arizona, Kadeem Carey needs to go off. He needs to test that Washington front, that's pretty good. Number 2, rowdy Husky Stadium. Arizona's gonna need to deal with noise, no false starts, no stupid mistakes. And number 3, that defensive front and that 3-3-5, they're gonna need to hold up. That Washington running game, real strong. The offensive line, not the best in the world, but they need to hold up. Keys for the Dogs. They can't choke. They have expectations for the first time in a long time, and they've proven themselves to be a good team. They can't gack against the Wildcats. Number 2, that defensive front going against Kadeem Carey. No arm tackles. They're going to need to be fundamentally sound against a really, really good running back. And finally, get the ball to the speed of John Ross, of Jadon Mickens, of Casey Williams. Get it to them in space. Arizona does not have the depth of athletes on the defensive side of the ball to keep up. Test them constantly on the perimeter. I'm going to test myself with some pie. Pie cup number 1. Bourbon pecan. Pie cup number 2, chocolate, yeah. Pie cup number 3, we got like some sort of cherry crumble. Bourbon pecan. I'm clearly very excited about this pie cup, bourbon pecan. Also very excited about the Washington Huskies covering in this game. 41-24, all sorts of fun points, all sorts of yards for Washington. Husky Stadium will be a rockin'. A lot of people complain about pecan pie, for being too sweet. Perfect amount of sweetness. It's like a cupcake, but for adults. Yeah, that's right, grown-ups. Stop with the cupcakes. And finally, going on the road, OU, Oklahoma Sooners, 3.5-point favorites going to Notre Dame. Fun game. We saw this game last year go Notre Dame's way. Oklahoma, a lot to like about this Sooner team, especially after Blake Bell, first key, taking over at the quarterback position for an injured Trevor Knight. How is he going to do against a really good, pretty good Notre Dame defense that has been shown to have weaknesses? Number 2, the coaching, the Stoopses is. How do they set up that offense to take advantage of Blake Bell's talents? How does that defense react after looking really good all season long, but not so good last season? Third key for the Sooners, succeed with that defensive front, that new 3-3-5, swarm Tommy Rees, swarm that running game that hasn't been all good, they'll be all right. I'm gonna be all right with this. This is what's called a pie shake. And by this, I mean a pie has been jammed into a blender with ice cream for my enjoyment. Pie crumbles on top. I would take this on a vacation. All right, I need to take a break from that. Keys for Notre Dame, a clean Tommy Rees. He's been pretty good thus far with the turnovers, needs to continue doing so against an athletic Oklahoma defense. Number 2, that offensive line needs a push. The running game has been stagnant, has been disappointing. 4 yards to carry, that's all I'm asking for, Irish. And number 3, that defensive line, that front needs to confuse, needs to get a push against a pretty good Oklahoma offensive line. It's a new quarterback, full-time in Blake Bell. Make him scared, make him panic, stop the run, they'll be good. All that said, I'm gonna go Oklahoma here. I'm gonna say 23-17, relatively low scoring, 2 really good defenses. Thinking big things for the Sooners, big old boomer on Saturday. Speaking of which, nice special treat, Nathan Followill, Kings of Leon drummer. We're gonna talk to him downstairs in the basement, beautiful basement here at Hill Country, about food, about college football, new album, Mechanical Bull. I need this, I'm gonna take it with me. This is Nathan Followill from Kings of Leon, new album, college football fan. It just makes sense to eat fried chicken. It always does. Welcome.
I mean, I'll eat fried chicken on any sports season. I don't care.
It's not a difficult sell.
Luge. I don't care. Whatever.
Fried chicken for luge.
Fried chicken makes everything better.
You're a big Oklahoma fan. We just finished talking about Oklahoma Notre Dame this weekend. A, are you gonna be able to watch? B, initial thoughts about the game.
I will definitely be watching. Feel pretty good about the game this year.
And you feel good about OU's team this year in general. So Blake Bell sort of stepping in.
Blake is a good buddy of mine, and it was pretty tough for me the first game to watch him, on the sidelines because he, kind of paid his dues. But yeah, he lost some of that baby fat in the off season. I think he's a lot quicker than people would give him credit for. But this isn't our best team that we've had.
Right.
But I will honestly be happy with 9-3 and a BCS win.
We've got some food for you, by the way.
Perfect.
Because growing boy needs to eat.
Ooh. We just go in hands, or
go
how
hands.
Do we?
I'm not offended. We're all friends here. Obviously, you're very energetic. You're putting forth a big effort. What do you fill the gut with before performing?
try to think like an athlete. I'm actually very healthy before shows.
Sure.
After shows, a totally different story. Before show, I'll have usually have a piece of grilled salmon, some quinoa,
Wow.
steamed spinach, rocket parmesan
Your
salad.
body's clearly a temple.
Yes.
Yeah.
After, fried chicken and waffles with honey on them. Any type of burrito that you can throw at my mouth.
That's a good name for your memoir. Any type of burrito you can throw at my mouth. The Nathan Followill story.
that was
New album, out now,
dropped
today.
on the 24th today, yes. Mainly, this was the first time we'd ever had a break in between records where we weren't touring. I mean, we made 5 records in 9 years, and we're touring in between all of those, so we never really
Time
had a
to breathe.
chance.
Yeah.
So we took a break. Me and Caleb, our wives, had babies. Jared got married, then got divorced, then got remarried to the same girl.
That'll happen.
I just think having a clear head going into this was probably the main thing, and we did it at home in Nashville at our own studio.
Right.
We bought
Leon.
We bought this old paint factory, and it was an old paint factory, but we grew up painting like our whole lives. Our dads own a paint company,
Right.
so in some weird way, it was nostalgic to go in there and like smell that, and it was like, oh man, like
Taking
this
you
reminds
back.
me of back when we used to
Toxins.
huff lacquer thinner 9 hours a day. And not remember how we got home.
As an Oklahoma fan, to bring it full circle back to college football, is Texas being down and kind of funny and sort of irregular, is that fun for you, or do you wish you could be beating a good Texas team?
Now with the BCS, you want to beat a team that's good.
Yeah, you want a nice resume.
Because you need, but as a Sooner, I would take 77-0 over Texas every single year if possible, but you enjoy the close ones as well. I think Mac Brown is the Keith Richards of coaches. I think he's actually been dead for 10 years, and they've got some Walt Disney machine back there that just, keeps him going.
He's a 2D cardboard cutout on the sideline. A lot of people don't know that.
He really is.
All right, Nathan Followill, Kings of Leon, horns down forever.
Cheers.
Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers.
Enjoy the chicken
Thank you,
and wine.
guys.
All right, I am full of fried chicken and the confidence that Wisconsin, Washington, LSU, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss are probably going to hit. And 13-6-1 on the season. It's not too shabby. I'm now going to take the next week to digest. See you next week.